Hi guys, I'll be doing a spinach pocket. Now pocket, it has a roti or a ready-made tortilla, but tortillas are not available these days in this lockdown period. So I'm going to tell you how to make the roti, which somewhat looks like a tortilla, and a spinach filling. And this is going to be served with a mango salad. If you want to serve it as a snack, you can do away with the mango salad. For a breakfast, you just need these pockets. But if it's a main course meal, then a salad is a very good accompaniment. So let me start with the filling first. I'm heating the pan on medium heat. And here goes in 2 tablespoons of oil. Now, I'm going to add garlic. Be a little generous with your garlic. I've chopped it finely like this. If you don't have the time, the cloves of garlic are so big these days, you can just grate them. So either chop them or grate them, but don't take a paste. Okay. So now, unless the oil is heated, don't be in a rush to add the garlic. And when you are adding the garlic, don't let it get over brown, because if you over brown it, what happens? It gets burnt. It doesn't have a nice flavor. But don't be in a rush to add the next ingredient before it starts changing color, because it has to flavor the oil. So the oil seems to be hot now, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of chopped. Now, after the garlic, I have to add spinach. See, I haven't chopped it very finely. It's roughly chopped. You needn't waste too much time chopping it or shredding it very finely. And I'm going to use 3 cups of spinach. But before measuring, you need to wash it thoroughly and chop it and then measure. So this is 3 cups of washed and chopped spinach. Another thing, when you wash spinach, always remember not to wash it under a running tap. It's always a good idea to put it in a pan of water, pick it up and then put it in another pan. That way the dust settles at the bottom. So have clean spinach. And now I'm adding spinach. So here goes in spinach, because the garlic, I can see it started changing color and it's a little fragrant, but it hasn't turned brown. So here goes in 1 cup of spinach. This is the second cup. It's a well-packed cup. And this is 3 cups. This should be enough. Now, I want my spinach to turn soft. What should I do to hasten the process? All that I need is a pinch of salt, because whenever you add salt, the water comes out. It starts sweating. So I'm adding 2-3 pinches of salt to make it sweat. Okay, mix it up well with the garlic. And after mixed it well, you have to cover it for a while, for about maybe 2-3 minutes. Let me just get this together and cover it. Now, what are the other ingredients besides the spinach which is going into this pocket, this delicious pocket? See, you can see red capsicum, but maybe you can't find red capsicum in this lockdown period. You can always substitute it with green capsicum. But then you need a nice rainbow of colors in your vegetable or in your filling. So if you can see, I have yellow corn, I have red capsicum, and I have green spinach. So all the 3 colors. Now, if you're adding green here, how do we add the red color? And it's not the color only that it looks beautiful. Different colors have different nutrition. So for a red color, we can always add some tomato here. Now, how do you add the tomato? You just de-seed the tomato. You cut a tomato into 4, remove the pulp, and then chop it very finely. So instead of the red capsicum, you can add about a little of the green capsicum along with some tomato chopped finely after de-seeding it. You can see onions here, and I like to have my onions shredded. See, this is what I like. These juliennes of onions, they taste very nice in the mouth. Now, how do you make these juliennes? All you have to do is take an onion, cut it into 2, Now, this is very important what I'm telling you. Remove this guard on top, the knot. And then we cut it like this. I'm going to cut it widthwise. Not very fine, a little thick. And when I pick up these pieces and separate them, I get these shreds. You normally use this kind of cutting in Chinese cuisine, but I love it in the Indian also. Okay, so I'm going to add 2 onions. So one I have already cut and the other one I'm going to cut right away. And separate them. Now let me show you the other ingredients, but before I show you, let me just give this a quick stir. See, there's a lot of water which has come out and I can see the spinach has wilted. I mean, it's turned soft. Now I want this water to be dry. Remember, when you put a filling in anything, whether it's a pocket or a sandwich, you need to dry the filling. So I am going to dry this by leaving it open. Now it's turned soft and it needs to dry up. Now, while it's drying, let me tell you about the other ingredients. I told you about the onions, told you about this red capsicum. You can see some boiled corn here, and I have this chopped or diced paneer. See, it's a complete dish because it has vegetables, healthy vegetables like spinach and capsicum, and a protein, which is paneer. Now, in case you are a non-vegetarian and you want to add chicken instead of this, see, if you're adding paneer, I'm going to add it towards the end because paneer is something which is cooked. But is chicken cooked? Chicken needs to be cooked. So what you do is you add the garlic and then you add your chicken and saute it for a while till it changes color, cover it and cook it. Fine, absolutely done. And then add your spinach. What I'm trying to say is if you're adding chicken, it goes in the beginning, and if you're adding paneer, it goes at the end. Okay, now I can see a little water still there. Let me increase the heat. It will dry up faster. Yeah, okay. Now, almost dry now, and I'll add the other vegetables. Here goes in the red capsicum. Corn tastes nice, but too much of corn makes a thing sweet. So just don't be too generous with the corn. You can just have about 2 to 3 tablespoons of corn is good enough. And the shredded onions. See, normally what people do is they add onions in the beginning, like after garlic, they would add onions in any dish. But in a wrap or in a pocket or, in a sandwich, you want the crunchiness of the onions. So that's why you should add it a little later. You don't need to cook them for too long. And I'm going to separate all these juliennes. Here goes in the onions. I haven't added the paneer yet. Now, what all do I add on this? I like using Kashmiri mirch powder, and I have my own brand of spices, Nita Mehta spices, and I'm going to use my own brand. Of course, I should be using my own brand because I love the formulations of my own brand. So here I put 1 teaspoon of Kashmiri mirch powder. Kashmiri mirch powder lends a very nice taste without too much of heat. Okay. Now, I had already added salt to the spinach, but remember, I had just added about 2-3 pinches. So about half a teaspoon of salt more. Some black pepper is a must. So about 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And a little garam masala, about half a teaspoon of garam masala. You can use Nita Mehta's garam masala. Okay. Let me give it a quick toss. See, I haven't added the paneer yet. This has to be done on a little high heat. Mix everything nicely. Okay. Now, this is almost done. Just 2-3 minutes of cooking it requires. See, we had added so much spinach and it becomes so little. So that's why whenever you cook anything with spinach, sometimes when you are not too seasoned, then you tend to add a little extra salt. So because the spinach becomes very little after cooking. So remember to add the salt accordingly. Now, let me add the paneer. This is about 100 grams of paneer, which I've diced and I'm adding. And whenever I use paneer, I always love adding my paneer masala. So this is Nita Mehta's paneer masala, about a teaspoon. Now, if you were using chicken in the beginning, when you saute the chicken, add a teaspoon of chicken masala. So here goes in 1 teaspoon of paneer masala on the paneer. You know, sometimes the paneer becomes very hard. Now, what do you do then? You don't want that chewy, hard paneer. Just boil some water with a little salt and soak your paneer in it for a while. This is a good tip because many a times when the paneer becomes old, it does become hard. But you know, once when I was a young girl, what I did was I boiled the water and with a little salt, I added the paneer and I boiled the paneer also. So instead of becoming softer, it became even harder. So always remember, you are just to soak the paneer and not boil the paneer. Now this is also done. Just mix it up for a while. Now this filling is not only for this what I'm doing. You can do so much with this filling. Suppose you have a pizza base. You can put some cheese. You can top it with this filling. Again, put a little cheese and put it in the oven. So it's a nice topping for a pizza. If you want to make a roll like a kathi roll, you can use this as a kathi roll. You can make breakfast sandwiches with it. So there's so many options for this filling. And of course, besides this, I would love to eat it with dal and a katori of dal and this with a roti as a side dish. Now it's nice and dry. I was just talking so that I could give you some tips and dry this also because it's very important to dry it completely. Now, before I take it off, it's always a good idea to taste the filling so that if you want to add a little salt or mirchi or garam masala, you can always add. Perfect, absolutely nothing needed. I'm just removing the filling from the pan. Now the filling is ready. This filling will be enough for 4 pockets. So you can just, it's a good idea to take it out on a plate because you can divide it into 4 more easily. If it's in a bowl, sometimes you put more in one and the other one has less. So this is how you do it. So I've divided it into 4 parts and I'll just keep this aside and go on to the roti. Now, I'm trying to balance nutrition and flavor. Nutrition and flavor or taste. So I'm not using only atta, but half a cup of atta and half a cup of maida. If you want, you can only use maida. It's very tasty. Or you can use only atta. It's not so soft. So a combination of half and half always works better. A tablespoon of oil and a little bit of salt. Maybe half a teaspoon of salt should be fine. And mix this up. This is the roti or the tortillas I'm making. So even if you're doing an Italian filling, these will work very well because they are like tortillas. Now, you need to knead this with water. But remember, if you want your roti or your tortillas to be soft, you need to use warm water. So just mix this up and use warm water to make a dough. Now, after making the dough, you need to rest it for at least 15-20 minutes. So I have a dough ready here, but remember it has half cup maida, half cup atta, 1 tablespoon oil, half teaspoon of salt, and kneaded with warm water. Now after the dough is ready, you can see I've wrapped it in a damp cloth. This is very important, wrapping it up in a damp cloth, because the dough doesn't dry up then. Now this would also be enough for 4 rotis or 4 tortillas. Yes, here we are. And I'm going to make tortillas which should be big enough so that the pocket, you know, it has a good quantity of the filling. Let me put this on. Okay. Some dry flour for rolling. Now a general tip, don't use too much of dry flour for rolling, because your rotis or your tortillas might become hard. So a little bit here. Now I'm going to divide this into 4. One thing I forgot, I just saw these sesame seeds, which should be added to the filling, and you can always add them towards the end also, it's not a problem. Why can you add them towards the end? Because they are toasted. See, I bottle my sesame seeds. Now this is not absolutely necessary, but it tastes nice and it makes your pockets healthier, because sesame seeds are rich in magnesium and calcium, so they are nice to have. So here I have this bottled sesame seeds, and I'm going to add a little to this, which I forgot. That's why it's a good idea to take out all the ingredients and keep it in the kitchen while you cook, because sometimes, you know, you tend to forget. Just mixing them. बहुत जरूरी नहीं है, इसीलिए दिमाग से निकल गया. Okay. Now, let me just roll this. Now you can make these tortillas or rotis a day or two in advance also. You don't have to do everything on that day. You know, when you buy tortillas from the market, they say a shelf life of 3 to 4 days. What I do is I freeze them, and then the shelf life becomes much longer, maybe for 10 to 15 days. You can easily store them in the refrigerator, in the freezer, but in the fridge, you can't do that. So when you make homemade also, you can't freeze them for 10-15 days, but you can definitely, you know, put them in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 days. Like I make them like this. This is a tortilla, homemade roti or a tortilla, and I put a wrap like this on it, and I just put it in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 days and take it out whenever I need it. And before you put your tortillas or your rotis on the pan, just see that it's hot enough, because you never cook your rotis also, your pulkas or chapatis or parathas on a cold tawa. So I've just increased the heat so that it becomes hot enough. Now it's looking hot, and I'll be adding this. Now always remember, these pockets need to be fried or pan fried or sauteed again. So you don't have to cook your rotis too much. Basically, one side is lightly done and the other side is properly done. See, I'll show you now. Not as yet. You need to turn them, turn your roti or your tortillas when you see small bubbles coming up. So then I'm going to turn it. And another thing, when you make them in advance and store them, it's a good idea to brush them with a little butter so that, you know, they remain soft. Very lightly with butter, and keep them wrapped like this. Now, can you see these bubbles coming up? It's, you know, puffing up a little. Yeah. Now I'm going to turn it. It hasn't turned very brown, but I have turned it. To turn the tortilla or the roti, just press the sides carefully so that that doesn't remain kacha. Now see, this is done. This side is very lightly browned. It just has a few specks, but this side is almost done. So as I told you, I'm going to do one side which is nicely done and the other side is slightly underdone. Now, when you want to fill this, we should have the cooked side inside so that the less done side goes on the pan, remember. So I'm going to put the cooked side inside. Now let me show you this also, how this looks like. The ones those have been stored. Like you were saying, they'll stick to each other. So I'll tell you. See how nicely I've wrapped them so that they don't turn dry. See. Very lightly. This side doesn't have too much specks. This side is nicely cooked. I'm going to put this side on top. Similarly, see, this side has few and one side is more. And they're not sticking at all. They're nice thin tortillas. Now, yeah, this is the side which is more cooked, which I'm going to put on top. Now you need a spread on this. Now there are many options you can use. If you're doing an Italian filling, you can spread some mustard. If you like, you can spread some ranch dressing. But whatever you spread, like even if you want a chutney flavor, you can't use anything with lot of water in it. So if you want a chutney flavor, you can make a mint mayonnaise. You can mix a little mayonnaise with hari chutney, which is nice and thick. Just put your chutney in a strainer for a while so that all the excess water goes off, and then you mix it. I'm making a chipotle mayonnaise. You know, I wanted to buy a ready-made chipotle mayo. I couldn't get it. So what I've done is I had ranch dressing with me, and I prefer ranch to mayonnaise any day because it's much lighter. So I have this ranch with me, and as I told you, I like my food a little spicy. So I'm going to add a teaspoon of chili garlic paste to it, to about 2 to 3 tablespoons of ranch. Add a little chili garlic paste to it and make it into a chipotle ranch, or a chipotle mayo, or a mint mayo, or a mustard. Anything you have in your fridge will work. Okay, let me put this on now. Now we have our roti or tortilla with the cooked side on top. I'm spreading a little chipotle ranch on it, but please see that I'm covering the edges nicely, because that is very important. Otherwise your pocket will not seal well. Okay, now this is done. I put a portion of the filling in the center. The sesame seeds are looking nice on top. I think it's a good idea to add the sesame seeds after taking it out from the pan. I just discovered that they remain crunchier. Now you fold the sides like this. See, I put a rectangle here. I'm folding the sides. The other slightly overlaps the other side. And I told you to put the spread nicely on these sides. Another thing which comes to my mind is hummus. You could use hummus also, give it a Mediterranean touch. You could use the Mediterranean spices. Now, what are the Mediterranean spices? You know, you could jeera powder. You could use that cumin powder, give it a Mediterranean touch, and use hummus here. So, you know, there are so many options. Turn this side, holding onto this, turn this side, and now put it down like this so that the edges stick together. Now this is nice and hot, but still I'll increase the temperature. Okay. Add about a tablespoon of oil. You don't need much. Let me just brush it. And now I'm going to add this pocket to the hot pan. Not like this, but with the folded side down. Okay. Now, till we are doing the salad, till we are frying the pockets, let me do the salad. Now, for the salad, let me just remove all this and get the salad ingredients for you. This is mango. Somehow I feel mango goes very well with spinach. So I'm going to do a mango salad. And these days, 3 ingredients to make a dish. So I'm going to use just 3 ingredients, a simple salad to make this. Now, let's see this also. Press this a little. You can use a pair of tongs or you could use a flat spoon like this, anything, whatever you feel like. This becomes easier. I think I need to reduce the heat a little. It's a little extra. Okay. And for the salad, if you can see, I have dipped some leaves in water. Now this is very important. Somehow if you don't get lettuce, what can you use? You can use spinach also. What you need to do is when you use spinach, you need to remove the vein in between and tear the stem first and then tear the leaf from both the sides so that hard stem goes away. But then I could manage to get lettuce, so I'm using lettuce. Now, I had dipped this in water. So it's very important to pat dry the lettuce first. Let me switch this off. I'm sure this is done. Yes, see? Okay. I'm going to pat dry the lettuce. You need to soak it in chilled water. And if you don't have chilled water, just don't forget to add a cube of ice to it. For about a couple of hours, it works very well. Your lettuce starts looking fresh. And if you are using spinach, the same way. Now I'm going to break my lettuce into small bits. 5 to 6 leaves of lettuce. That's it. Now, it's a good idea to just add a tablespoon of olive oil to your lettuce leaves. This prevents it from, getting soft. So we soaked the lettuce leaves in chilled water, pat dried, and then drizzled with a little extra virgin olive oil. And somehow if you don't have olive oil, you can use fresh, any oil which hasn't been used for frying or anything, just fresh vegetable oil. I'm going to mix this, and I've diced the mango into nice big pieces so that they taste nice and show also. I think this should be enough. Don't be too generous with the mangoes. The whole thing becomes too sweet. And nothing much, a little bit of cracked black pepper and a little salt. That's it. And never mix your salad with a spoon. Always remember to just use forks for it. So that's how you mix your salad. Now, this is the basic salad as I told you. But if you have time and if you want to add a few more things, you can add a little sesame seeds to it. But those 3 ingredients are good enough: the mango, the olive oil, and the lettuce. Another thing what you could add is, if you like, just a teaspoon of this chipotle dressing that we had. These days, gone are those days when we used to enjoy those Russian salads with a lot of dressing and very little vegetables. These days, people just want a very light coating of the dressing. So that's why you can avoid it, or just add a teaspoon of it. I've just added a teaspoon of it, which coats the leaves. It doesn't even show, it doesn't make you feel guilty. So this is the salad. You can add some red chili flakes if you like. You can do so much. You can add nuts to it if you like. Some almonds taste very nice. Slivered almonds also taste very nice. So here we have the pocket and we have the salad also. Now, if you can see this, I got this specially for you. These are microgreens, which I'm going to top my pockets with. And how do you make them? This is the in thing now. They are not only, they don't make your food look like a designer food. They also are packed with nutrition. So what I do is, how I've done this? I've taken some coriander seeds, soaked them for a while, taken this empty ice cream tub, but made some holes at the bottom, filled it with soil, and just put those whole coriander seeds after soaking for 4 to 5 hours. That's how they start germinating faster into this, and watered them occasionally. See, when the soil gets dry, then only I used to water. And after a week, you get these lovely microgreens. You can just have them on your windowsill of the kitchen or anywhere. It works very well. So this is the microgreens, the latest designer thing these days. Okay, now we have the pocket. Now, if you want to serve it as an appetizer, you can cut it into 4 pieces also and serve it as an appetizer. Like you can cut it like this, or into, square pieces and as an appetizer for breakfast or for a main course. This works very well. So here I have 1 piece, and this is the second one. Isn't it looking lovely? You know that safeda mango, which is nice and big and pulpy, you can use that. Now to serve, if you want, if you're interested, just put a bit of the chipotle mayonnaise or the ranch, whatever you made, the dressing, whatever dressing you made. Just you have an extra, and just tilt your spoon a bit and go this way. Tilt your spoon and take it long. So this is your spinach pockets with mango salad. What the microgreens again? I have to top them with the microgreens that I worked so hard. Actually, you don't need to work at all because they are so easy to grow. Just put them here on your pockets. They look nice and they give that look, like the way we have it in a restaurant.